Hello and welcome back to Quickies with Angela and Katie.
I'm Angela Dawn of Authentic Heart Coaching. I'm a tantric sex coach and I help individuals and couples rewrite their sexual story.
And I'm Katie Wilkinson of Katie Coaches. I teach women how to design love, relationships, and a life that serves them through pleasure, not sacrifice.
Well, we at Quickies here are deep in our season of play. And today's episode is honestly one of my favorites that we're doing so far this season.
The title alone is a vibe. We're going to be teasing pet names, genital worship, puppetry of the penis.
Yeah, we are going there this time.
We're absolutely going there. And true to our style, we're making it both sacred and silly because that's the whole point of this season of play.
That's exactly the point, Katie. Let's dive in. We're going to start today's episode with something that sounds really small, but is actually so intimate. Pet names. And I don't just mean what you call each other. I mean what you call each other's bodies or body parts.
Right, because most of us grew up with either the like clinical medical version of body parts or the slang that we have heard since middle school, right? But there's nothing like personalized to you and your relationship.
And slang kind of sucks. So does clinical terminology. Neither of them feels very loving, right?
Right? Like I don't think anyone gets hot from the word vagina, you know?
No,
And
definitely not.
I know lots of women who hate the word pussy. Like I used to hate that word before our
Mhm.
sex coach training with Layla Martin because it felt so pornified, like it was something that men would say. It felt very claiming and I was like, "Ew, that's not about my pleasure." So I hadn't used it until getting re-emerged into it and being like, "Oh, cool, we can reclaim this, make it about us, make it more fun."
Yeah, can I go off on a little pussy tangent,
I love when
Katie?
you have pussy tangents.
So I now love the word pussy. I think before our training, I might have had a little bit of the like sort of wimp association with that word. Um, but the great thing about the word pussy and why I use it, like in my couples workshops and with my clients, is because it's a word that means vulva and vagina all together. And we don't really have another word in English that means both. So that's why I use pussy.
I like that too. And
Um,
even
mhm.
tapping into the derogatory usage, I really hate how
Yeah.
I think it was that Betty White quote where she's like, "Why do we, say that pussies are weak or, it's the balls that are weak, pussies, those things can really take a pounding."
Yeah, it sure can, right? All right. So let's talk about how names actually evolve over the course of a relationship. In the beginning, you're probably not using any name at all. Everything is a little more gestural, I think.
Right? You're kind of just like you're touching each other, but you haven't developed the names. You're just like, "Hey, can we, it's a little more
Mhm.
euphemistic almost."
Yeah. And then
A little
as you get
vague.
more comfortable, maybe something playful comes in, like a nickname that's just yours, that only lives between the two of you.
Earlier this season, we talked about the magic of the special language that couples create together, inside jokes. And the same is true for what you call each other's private parts. Who remembers that scene from Sex and the City where Charlotte and Trey are in couples counseling and they get to come up with nicknames for their genitals to make their sexual challenges easier to talk about? I thought that was so much fun. I know Trey
Hmm.
hated it, but I thought it was a cool idea. And it's a great exploration exercise for any couple, and for some couples, I feel like the nicknames are going to be sweet, and for other ones they're just going to be kind of silly, and for others, maybe a little spicier.
Hmm.
And like I don't remember any of the specific names. And I wouldn't share those for, obvious reasons, but I have definitely had nicknames and secret phrases with partners about their genitals over the years, always with a very playful, loving intent. But I feel like it added something special to our bond, and it made the bedroom feel more playful, more connected, more personal, and like less mechanical, less clinical. Because sex
Yeah,
can feel
absolutely.
mechanical and clinical when you don't have that like personal edge to it, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, totally valid. And I think the point is that language shapes our experiences as humans. And when you name something with care or with passion or with playfulness, right, you're actually changing how you relate to what you have given that name to.
Yes. It's like the difference between fucking and making love, right? It's the same thing
Hmm.
mechanically, but a completely different feeling and intention.
Exactly. So here's an invitation. If you've never given your own genitals a name or your partner's, try it. It doesn't have to be serious. It can be funny. It can be sweet. It can be absolutely ridiculous. Just give it a try.
I've had clients name their nick or name their genitals too, like give a little nickname, and I feel like this is a really open area for people to be creative. If you want to go full
Hmm.
mythology, if you want to have a backstory, maybe you want a fun reference to TV or even something in nature. Like I knew a guy who called his penis Old Faithful. I've also joked
Nice.
the SpongeBob version of that, Old Reliable. That's more me. Or if you're like a 90s Disney kid, also like me, you could borrow even Jim Dear and Darling from Lady and the Tramp. Like, how cute would that be if somebody
Oh, that
addresses your
is cute.
crotch as Darling? I haven't done that with a partner yet, but it's very me, and I'd love to do that.
That is so cute.
Getting very personal here.
Yeah. And if you want to introduce a new name for the first time within your relationship, I would say the easiest way is just drop it in with a smile and see what happens. Be playful, be light about it. I've been thinking of calling you thus and such, and just see how it lands.
Right? Or as long as it's a loving name, I feel like you can just speak it directly to their genitals and see what happens. Like
Hmm.
beautiful, lovely, handsome, just something where there's that gentle admiration and see how that lands for them. Just whatever you try,
Hmm.
keep it low stakes, keep it high fun, keep it very season of play minded.
Yeah.
And on the topic of gentle admiration, let's get into genital worship.
Yes. And I want to separate what we're going to talk about, Katie, because a lot of people think of a specific thing when they think about genital worship, right? So I want to separate that from the way we're going to talk about it, right? So sometimes genital worship is performative. And what we're going to talk about today is actually devotional.
Right. This isn't the kinky BDSM or pornified scene. This is a real intimacy practice. Think temple, not dungeon.
Absolutely. Yes. So genital worship at its core is about bringing loving attention, reverent attention, focused attention to your partner's body, slowing down your touch, having eye contact, using loving language like we're talking about. It's that kind of presence that says, I see you and I adore you, or I adore this part of you. I'm not rushing to anywhere else. This is where I am right now.
Mm, so delicious and so romantic. Which is unfortunately the opposite of a lot of sex, maybe most sex that people are having, where you're more likely to rush, you're trying to get to the good stuff, and you completely miss the scenery along the way. There's no savoring,
Mhm.
there's no just adoring each other's bodies. We want the whole love part of making love, right?
100%, Katie. And I think I'm also going to say that this idea of genital worship that we're talking about, where it's just really adoration, that really comes out of love. Like
It
you
does.
can't fake that. That's coming from a loving place in you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So let's talk about what genital worship actually looks like in practice when you're doing this loving practice with your partner.
Yeah. So it can be as simple as just slowing way down and making eye contact while you touch your partner. It can be saying something out loud, like, I love your body. I love how you respond to me. I love this part of you, whatever it is.
Notice how often love is coming up. You don't have to phrase it that way, but I'm a big fan of phrasing it that way.
Yes.
And I do want to point out for some people, this is going to feel incredibly vulnerable. I learned a lesson here in my personal life. I forget how difficult it is sometimes for some people to give and receive compliments and
Mm,
verbal affirmations. So when you multiply that with being naked in bed with someone, that is highly vulnerable emotional territory.
yeah, it is. I mean, that's part of why it's so powerful. Like there's something about having a partner look at the most private part of your body and say, like, this is beautiful to me. You are beautiful to me. And that's fantastic for undoing the shame that so many of us carry.
Absolutely. Because if that's a part of you that you think that there could be something wrong with it, or you feel bad, or you
Hmm.
feel awkward about it, here you have someone saying, wow, this is so amazing. And I'm so lucky that you're letting me see and experience and enjoy this part of you with you. That is so powerful. And let's be real,
Hmm.
most of us have gotten the message that at some point, being told that there's something wrong or ugly about our bodies or certain body parts specifically.
Yeah, yeah. And, worship can be an antidote to that. Not in some kind of grandiose or contrived way, but just like slow, loving, present attention.
Right. This isn't this performance because like people
Hmm.
people can tell when that's fake. You can just feel that the energy isn't really there.
Yeah. Hmm.
And this adoration, this also goes in both directions by the way. This isn't like an I worship you, you're above me. Like this isn't the power play kind of worship. This is more of the mutual exchange of I adore this part of you. I adore your vulva. I adore your penis. It's more real and sacred as a way of relating to each other as equals, genuinely.
Hmm. Yeah, completely. And, it can be genuine in a kink context or a DS context too, right? Like not denying that. But
Yes.
there's a difference between this being a genuine exchange and a worship that comes from a feeling of love rather than a performance.
Right.
And, so it's not about gender, it's not about who's giving or receiving, it's about the energy of the devotion. It's about saying, like, this matters to me, you matter to me.
But also not in a way that feels like objectification, because you're not just worshiping their crotch, right? That's
Yeah, the
just
rest of
one,
you can go the hell away, right? Just your crotch. I just want the crotch.
right? Like that's just one example of an emotionally sensitive area where it's nice to give and receive that adoration. And I feel it's important that we do mention consent here as well, because as I mentioned, not everyone's going to be comfortable receiving this much focused attention, especially at first and in such a vulnerable area, really through
Mm-hmm.
any area
Mm-hmm.
of their body, but like especially genitally. So I do have a personal example here. I had an experience with someone where I was like, oh, can I just gaze at every inch of your body and shower you with compliments and kisses? And they said, no, I don't think I would like that. And it startled me because I was
Mm-hmm.
so in my own mental fantasy of like how much I would enjoy giving this and how much, if I was in his shoes, I would enjoy receiving it. And I hadn't taken into account what it would be like for him to receive that just like spotlight blast of attention in a way that he hadn't before. And that would have been jarring. So
Mm.
you want to make sure to check in with your partner because this is going to be really fun for some people and overwhelming and stressful for others.
Yeah. Well, I mean, thank heaven you phrased it as a question, Katie. I mean, that's really like the right way to do it, right? So if receiving that kind of reverence brings up feelings for you, it's just information, right? Like you don't have to push through it. Start smaller, let your lover know you're not comfortable with that. Receive a slow single touch, a single kind of word, let that be enough.
Right. No one's obligated to receive worship just because their partner wants to offer it. It needs to land
Hmm.
as an invitation, not as pressure. In the same way
Right.
that a gift isn't a gift if you're forcing the other person to accept it, right? Like at that point, it gets into abuse territory and it's also prioritizing your experience over theirs, which isn't fair and isn't appropriate and isn't healthy. So make sure that it stays just an option if they want to receive this worship, if it sounds good to them.
Right. Yeah. And if you're the one offering it and your partner feels a little squirmy, like that's okay too. Back off, make it lighter. Ask them if something else might feel good to try instead. They might not like the word you're using. Find out what they like, right? The goal is connection, not performance.
Right.
Mhm.
So now, the most highly anticipated portion of this episode, probably for the what the fuck factor, and that's the puppetry of the penis.
Yeah, we could not do an episode on genital play and not talk about this, right?
For anybody who doesn't know what we're talking about, Puppetry of the Penis is an Australian comedy show that's been touring internationally for years, in which cis male performers use their bodies, specifically their genitals, to create shapes, impressions, and this full theatrical experience of genital origami. And yes, I went straight to YouTube when Angela first mentioned this, and I was not disappointed.
It is exactly as absurd as it sounds, and somehow it's also really genius. It really is.
I bet they have so much fun in the rehearsal process. Like it kind of reminds me of the South Park guys when they brainstorm their episodes where the goal is just to make each other laugh. It feels like it has that same just make us laugh kind of vibe.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. What we love about it from a coaching perspective is that what it does for the energy in a room, because the moment you walk into a show like that, or even just like think about a show like that, the shame around bodies is just gone, like completely dissolved.
It's so humanizing and it's so normalizing, but it's done in a playful way. Like, how can you feel weird about your body when here you have these two guys who are up here on a stage using theirs as a puppet in front of all of these people? It's that humbling reminder that we're all just a bunch of animals coexisting on a large floating rock in space and that we take things way too seriously sometimes, especially our bodies, especially
Hmm.
because we're only taught to hate those bodies so that companies can sell us things or that patriarchal religious institutions can control us. Whereas our bodies are they're just bodies. We're just human meat sacks in a lovely kind of way.
Hmm.
There really shouldn't be anything shameful at all about how our bodies are shaped, especially the parts of us that create human life and also feel really good when they're touched in the right way.
Absolutely. And so I think there's a deeper invitation here, right? Like playful body humor can be a shame repair tool when it's used correctly. So, like when you can laugh at and with your body, you can start to relate to your own body a bit differently.
It takes that negative charge, that shame, that judgment away. Not that you need to go and perform your own version of puppetry necessarily, but no judgment from us if you do.
Yeah, it just means, can you be a little silly about your body sometimes? Can you make a ridiculous face? Can you laugh when something unexpected happens? Can you like let things be funny and imperfect and human? And when I first heard about this idea of puppetry of the penis, it was really like kind of in a context of like, let's dress up a penis, or what would happen if you dressed up a penis, like costumes for penises. I was like, is it costumes for peni? No, costumes for
The same thing that
penises.
came to mind for me, peni.
I'm
Can
so
we make
glad it
that a
wasn't
word?
just me, Katie. I think we're going to make it a word. So I have always thought it would be really easy and cute to make like a cape for a penis, right? Like really easy to make a cape, right? So you could do like a red one and put like a little S on it, or maybe a P and it's like super penis. Or what if you did like a purple velvet cape that had like white cotton balls around the edge, like kind of a kingly thing? And then you could cut like a piece of a toilet paper roll, like a crown, and paint it gold and like set it on. I don't know. These are thoughts that I have.
I know someone who created the best dick pic I have ever seen in my life. It has circulated not only my friend group, but it's gone even further. He took index cards and made himself a little tux and then a top hat. He took a paper clip and made a little monocle for his penis. It was epic. And there's actually a subreddit. I don't remember which one it is, but I'm sure it's easy to find, where there are
Yeah,
all
we're all
these
going to
like
be
penis,
looking.
right? All of these penis costumes. And I'm like, this is brilliant. Talk about for the female gaze. Thank you so much. This is amazing. It was the coolest thing. I'm
Awesome.
like, don't send me the zoomed in, super creepy one. Like, no, dress that fucker up. I actually, a friend and I once, we thought it would be so funny for another friend of ours. We actually bought him a like miniature tux for his penis. We said, hey, if we ever find out next time you're dating someone, we are going to check in with them and see if you've actually worn it. We have not gotten to call that bluff yet, but it still
That's
exists.
great.
It still exists. I have no idea if he has it. I think he lost it. But I'm like, you got to compete. You got to compete with the index card guy.
Oh my God, that's
I'm
awesome.
having too much fun with this. All this to say, bodies are funny and they're human and they're supposed to be imperfect. That's the whole point. You know, animals don't
Yeah.
take themselves this seriously. We shouldn't
No,
either.
yeah. And if you can bring humor into the bedroom, we've been talking about this all season. If you can bring humor into the bedroom without it being mean or dismissive, then laughter and arousal can coexist. And that's actually a very high level of intimacy.
Exactly. So, to pull today's episode all together, today we played with genital names, we played with genital worship, and we played with the magnificent absurdity of genital origami.
All in service to the same thing, right? A more playful, loving, and shame free relationship with your body and your partner's body.
So, if this episode unlocked something for you, maybe a little curiosity, maybe an idea for some homework, go do it. Go try it.
Yes. Mm,
Is right.
like maybe don't show us your homework, but
No, please don't do that. Unless it's in a tux. I'll grant special consideration.
yeah, I mean you can write us an email and tell us verbally what you did. That we would love to hear about your
Show the
costume.
capes you make, just not while wearing them. Just show like the
Yeah,
little cape itself.
exactly. Right. Yeah. And being a little more serious, if you want to go deeper into embodied devotional intimacy work, I do private sessions with couples or with individuals where I can guide you how to explore this, how to explore desire and shame and reverence and pleasure, or however you want to grow yourself or within your relationship. You can find the details in the show notes.
And if you're a couple who wants to bring more loving touch into your physical connection, our on demand video class, Pussy Whispering for Couples, walks you through what women's bodies actually want so that you can show up with more confidence and way less guesswork in the bedroom.
And if you're male bodied and you haven't checked it out already, please take a look at my book, Gateway to Sexual Mastery for Men. Everything we talked about in today's episode, like around shame and devotion, it's in there. It's all woven into that work.
Links for everything are in the show notes, as usual.
Thanks for being here with us. We'll play with you next time on Quickies with Angela and Caity.